Have you ever wondered, what is Web3? Is it important? Should I know exactly what it is? Should I be investing in it? Well, I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, why it's important, and why it's maybe not important. I'm Dan Murphy. This is TalkTechToMe. Let's get into it. Have you ever realized you don't actually own anything on the internet? Your Instagram posts, your Facebook posts, even the digital game skins that you essentially own, you're actually just renting them for big tech companies who can evict you at any time, or change the rules, or do whatever they want. But that's changing. We're moving from an internet where we just read and write to one where we actually own it. And it's called Web3. Today, I'm going to show you what it really is, what it can do for you, and honestly, what it still can't do. First of all, there was Web 1, which was the static web of the 1990s. Think of it as like a digital library where you could read books, but you couldn't write them. Then came along Web 2 in the early 2000s, and this is the interactive web that we know and love today. TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, but we create the content, but a handful of mega corporations control the entire infrastructure behind it. They sell you your browsing history, your data to advertisers. In Web 2.0, you aren't the customer, you're essentially the product. Web 3.0 or Web 3 is the next step. If Web 2.0 was like renting an apartment and the landlord sets the rules, Web 3 is like owning the house, owning the land, and eventually the entire neighborhood. So how does it work? Well, it starts at blockchain, and I'll try to talk you through blockchain first of all. Think of it as a bank ledger, but instead of one bank manager controlling it, every single customer has an identical copy of the ledger. If someone tries to cheat you by changing their copy, everyone else's copy will prove that they are lying. On top of that, there is these things called smart contracts. Think of them as robot agents. Imagine your friend owes you £100, and instead of trusting him to give you back the £100 whenever, you use a smart contract. So in the contract, it says, if my friend's wallet has £100 on it on Friday, automatically transfer that to me. It executes it instantly without a bank or any kind of lawyer or no kind of sort of administration behind it then as well. This is where cryptocurrency comes into play. It's digital money managed by a network of computers rather than any kind of government or single corporate entity. Sending £1,000 to Japan through a bank can take several days and maybe cost you £50, £60, £70 in fees. In Web3, it arrives within minutes for an absolute fraction of the cost. So what does this mean? It means you have some real world power on the internet finally. Take finance, for example, or as it's called in the Web3, DeFi, essentially Decentralised Finance. You can do banking without a bank. On a platform such as Aave, spelled AAVE, you can deposit crypto, you can earn interest on it, you can borrow real money against it without putting up any collateral. No credit checks, no waiting periods, no discrimination. It's also changed ownership on the internet then as well through NFTs or non-fungible tokens. These are digital deeds. In Web 2, a game company could delete your account, your rare items might vanish. In Web 3, you own the gaming asset in an NFT. You can trade it, or you can even use them in other games. It's also changed communities, or as they're called, DAOs. Imagine a company with a CEO or a board of directors. It's actually owned by its members and all the members' voting rights instead. For example, Constitution DAO raised $40 million through its 17,000 people in just days to actually buy the US Constitution at auction. It's also changing the way social media works too. On a decentralized platform like Lens, for example, you own the audience. If the app shuts down, your content, your followers still exist on the blockchain, so you can just move them to a different app. Imagine doing that with an Instagram account or a Facebook profile. Now, let's be real for a second. Web3 is not perfect yet. It can be slow and expensive sometimes. A credit card swipe is instant. A blockchain transaction, especially when it's busy, may take 10 minutes during peak times, and fees can be maybe up to £50. It's great for buying a house and expensive items where fees will be sort of capped at £50, but it's not great at buying coffee just yet. Also, there is no forget password button. If you lose your private digital keys to your money, it's gone forever. There's no customer service line you can ring. There's been some fantastic stories about people that have lost their Bitcoin scene address and they're trying to dig up dumps to try to recover old hard drives. Also, there's some environmental concerns. Some blockchains use massive amounts of electricity, though newer versions of the Ether network are far less energy consumption. But overall, there is a real genuine environmental concern when using Web3. So what does that look like from a developer point of view, or like a technical architect, or somebody that actually wants to build something on Web3? Well, it's not easy, and it's a lot to get your head around. For environment setup, you're going to install Node.js and NPM. You're going to have to initiate a project, create a directory. You're going to have to install your development framework. You're going to have to install something like Hardhat or Truffle. Then you're going to have to set up your wallet. It's using something like MetaMask or MetaMask browser extension. You're going to have to fill your wallet with some, ETH for trying it out. Then if you're doing smart contracts on the back end, you're using something like Solidity to write the back end logic. You're going to have to set up your libraries. You're going to use something like Open Zeppelin for it to make it secure. You're going to have to compile it then as well. You're going to have to try to test it locally, which is going to be a nightmare because you're going to have to set up a local environment to set up all this into. You're going to have to deploy it to something like testnet then as well to, provide Alchemy with kind of infrastructure to deploy the contracts in a public environment. And then there's front-end development. So you're going to use something like Next.js or React. You're going to have to install all those libraries, those dependencies, and then eventually build your UI and your user interface then as well. And then you're going to have to connect it to the blockchain. So you're going to have to connect your wallet, implement the functionality, detect something like MetaMask in the background. Then you've got the contact interaction, initiate contact interactions in front end using your deployed address and your API. From implementing functions, you're going to connect the UI buttons to smart contracts then as well, so to kick off those automated workflows. And you're going to have to handle real-time user data and PPI data then as well. For testing and development, because you're testing essentially something that's going to be massively global on your local environment, it's going to be difficult. And it's also going to be difficult to simulate load then as well. Deployment to front-end hardware services is going to be even more difficult again then as well. Security and auditing then as well. In summary, you're going to need Solidity for your contracts, JavaScript or TypeScript for your front end. You're going to need Hardhat, Truffle to do your blockchain. You're going to need React, Next.js for your front end. You're going to need a handful of libraries. You're going to need MetaMask. You're going to need Alchemy, and you're going to need Infirma. So you're going to need a team of people to build something that you actually don't know whether it's going to be viable at the end. Like, I haven't seen any real use cases yet for Web3 where it's replacing traditional Web2 components. But yeah, those are the technical things. On to the conclusion. Web3 isn't ready to replace everything we do today, but it excels at giving individuals sovereignty over their digital lives. It's about returning some of the power back to you. And in a world where the internet is all things to everything, that's quite refreshing. So what do you think? Would you trust a decentralized network to move away from big tech companies? Which Web3 application excites you the most? Let me know your comments. As always, I'm Dan Murphy. It's always great to chat with you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.